first time, CoinDesk is offering a multi-year access pass to Consensus, the biggest event in crypto and Web3. Joining us now to discuss is CoinDesk Chief Content Officer Michael J. Casey, along with Head of CoinDesk Studios, Sam Ewen. Michael and Sam, great to see you. So CoinDesk has paired a 3-year Pro Pass with a generative art NFT from a notable artist and created a layered bonus reward system for those who collect over the next 3 years. And you see this really as revolutionizing the ticketing industry. Tell me a bit about that.
So one of the things that is going on right now is ticketing is kind of broken, right? We have seen over the last 10 or 12 years that Ticketmaster and Live Nation, as an example, have created a monopolistic hold on the ticketing industry. They have, almost the entirety of the large venues in the country. They also then own the ticketing process, so they can sort of do whatever they want to gouge their customers for as much money as possible. They also own the resale market, so they can then charge additional fees on top of that. And one of the things that we're looking at is how we can utilize an NFT collection and then reward people who hold it with access to Consensus, but then create a sort of suite of additional rewards that can make it so that for years to come, they get the most out of Consensus.
Yeah, like if you think about us, I mean, obviously we're quite different from a performer like Taylor Swift, but more importantly, quite different from a small, local band that has to, raise money and essentially by touring, because they've lost money in streaming that only get 0.08% per stream, and so they make money from their live tours. But those live tours have been gouged by this centralized party in the middle of it all. And so obviously we're different from that. We're an event organizer and more importantly a publisher. But at the same time, we've got the same challenge, right? We're trying to connect with our audience and give them some additional value and find ways to monetize that relationship to the benefit of both the audience and the creator, which is us. In ways that doesn't have this middleman sitting in the middle of taking that out of there. So that's, I think, one of the key things about this particular innovation that Sam and his team has brought together. It's like it's trying to find ways to really energize that relationship in a way that is independent of some other controller.
So I just want to get into the details of how that actually works. What are some of the incentive systems, and how does it get divvied up so that the creator wins in the end?
So we worked with an amazing creator named Fahad Karim. He's an engineer, he's a programmer. He has an amazing set of work out primarily on the Artblocks platform. And so he created a custom work of art. It's a generative art, it's all written on the chain. What's really cool about this, it's a 3-year pass, so by holding this, you get 3 years of access to Consensus. The art itself actually matures over a 3-year period. So the art itself has a trajectory that is the length of the holder, that the holder has. And then in addition, so not only by holding it, do you get airdropped a ticket every year, you get airdropped desk, so when you come to Consensus, you can utilize your desk token for a lot of great things. But then we created this reward system where algorithmically, people will be selected to win different things. We looked at what would be most beneficial at Consensus. So for example, we have a speaking slot. We have a booth on the show floor. We have your hotel your hotel stay comped. So we looked at what are the things that can kind of create opportunity. We have 3 of the most interesting VCs in the Web3 space who are donating an hour of time to be pitched by a startup, right? Or to brainstorm with builders and creators. So the opportunity is, how do you get more out of Consensus, and how do you focus on the sort of additive value instead of what is happening in current ticketing models often, which is extracting more currency, more value away.
And I think one of the things that's interesting, I mean, in some respects, it's a new asset form. I don't know if it's a new asset class, but certainly a new asset form, because you're sort of merging the idea of the art, which is this wonderful, collectible, lasting thing that we've already seen in the NFT space has generated value, but it's been thought of as something that you flip and move. But you're combining that with this sort of real world experience level of value, going to an event and getting all these details. So the idea that, we're sort of rethinking what the purpose of an NFT is, and it gives it that lasting value rather than something to flip. And I think, right, I mean, some of the thinking is that if you were the recipient of one of the rewards that you think someone else might prefer, there's an opportunity to sell that. Like, I might not necessarily want a booth at on the show floor at Consensus, but there's some value I could extract by selling that access. Is that the way it works?
Yeah, so every piece of the access chain is usable, giftable, or sellable.
Right.
So, for example, we have a percentage of the audience will get a bonus ticket to bring a friend. Not everyone has a friend they want to bring, but maybe Michael has a friend, and so maybe that person says, oh, you know what? I can't afford a $2,000 ticket right now, but I can afford $1,000. Maybe I'll make a bid on that on OpenSea or on Blur, and then someone can then accept the bid, and suddenly that other person got in for value, and I got to subsidize the ticket itself because in my purchase. I also think something's really interesting for the folks who come to Consensus. Consensus is very much a crypto experience, right? It's kind of B2B. But one of the things that we've seen, there's only 2.6 million people that have ever interacted on OpenSea. From a wallet perspective. Yet Coinbase alone has almost 110 million accounts. So there's this giant percentage that have not played in the NFT ecosystem, and maybe because they're a little suspect that maybe it's too rife with challenges or scams or this and that. And we're saying, no, we're going to reward you with value from the minute you buy it. You spend 1.5 ETH to get your ticket, which is a 3-year ticket, about $3,600 in value, and yet. So right by doing that, you're almost at the price of a Pro Pass for Consensus today. So the idea is, how can we just make it additive for this small group of kind of loyalists who are really interested also in the furthering of the blockchain?
Yeah, I like how it encourages users to be engaged through a couple of years. You're not just buying it and holding this NFT and it's gone. It's something that remains and endures in value for years to come. I'm wondering, so how do you even get this NFT? What are, some of the problems or barriers to NFT sometimes is the technological barriers. How do you do this, and how is it accessible?
So great question. So one, we went to who are the people building in Web3. So we've been dabbling now for a couple of years, but we went to Artblocks. Artblocks has a project called Artblocks Engine, which lets other companies build on top of their stack. So we worked with them, worked with an amazing company called Passage Protocol that sort of worked with all the tokenomic structures and the reward system. And then finally with Token Proof, which is a token-gated sort of access pass, an app that we'll use throughout Consensus. And all three of these things are part of the project. So you go to coindesk.com/consensus NFT, you mint your NFT. The minute you do, you then get sort of entered into a snapshot period. We'll take a snapshot on the 15th of this month, and then at the end of the month. At the 15th, we'll take a snapshot. Everyone there gets into the rewards algorithm. Anything they get will be added as an airdrop on top. So that's where we talked about the opportunity to use or sell. So you'll get an additional NFT in your wallet. You connect to Token Proof. That's how you redeem everything. And that's part of the system there. And then by the end of the month, we'll close the whole thing down. And however many people sort of are playing the game with us, they're the ones who get rewarded. The other thing I would also mention, most NFTs, a lot of people these days buy and they flip. They're hoping for immediate value. For us, the longer you hold it, the more value, right? Because you're getting your tickets year after year. But in addition, the IRL, the on-the-ground reward system, re-rolls every year as well. So we might say, hey, people love this and didn't like this. Next year, let's learn from that, work with the community. What would be most valuable for you to have on the ground? Let's create a whole new set of rewards for year 2. And then the same thing for year 3. So our goal is actually buy it, hold it, keep it in your wallet, and just benefit for the next 3 years.
I think it was an interesting point you made earlier, Sam, about how, relative to, say, the number of people who hold a Coinbase wallet, the number who have actually interacted with OpenSea and purchased an NFT. Because, I think there's an opportunity here with a project like this one to sort of refocus or re-educate people in a way where, that crypto is more than just tokens for trading on an exchange. That they're more than just layer 1 tokens that you can speculate on. There are literally these forms of value, these new tokenization machines that take something of value and give you an opportunity to not just speculate on it, but literally have it, use it, and interact with whoever is issuing that. So, I think I'm excited by it because I just think that there's a real opportunity here to shift the paradigm.
Absolutely. Well, I love the experimentation, the creativity, the engagement of a community. So really excited to see it happen. Michael, Sam, thanks so much. That was CoinDesk Chief Content Officer Michael J. Casey, along with Head of CoinDesk Studios, Sam Ewen.